Okay, let's dive right into this absolutely fascinating explainer. Today, we're going to decode what is essentially the hidden operating system of reality itself. We're looking at a deeply complex metaphysical framework drawn from the source texts, one that functions almost like a cosmic physics engine, a continuous cycle of power, loss, and ultimate restoration.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the 237 reality engine, then look at the Taghūt loop, Solomon's perfect dominion, the hidden trap, the buried node, and finally, activating the book. Starting with Section 1, the 237 reality engine. This is the baseline code of the universe. To understand everything that follows, we have to grasp this specific framework. It illustrates exactly how reality processes information. Everything kicks off with a 2, a split or duality that creates a test space. Then it moves into a 3, which acts as a buffer or processor to stabilize the manifestation. Finally, it reaches a 7, representing total completion and the ultimate return of trust.
Now, these aren't just abstract philosophical ideas. They're tangible operators forcing energy through a distinct cosmic engine. The 2 breaks symmetry to define the test. The 3 forms the physical law, creating a living, breathing structure. And the 7 acts as the summation, ensuring conservation, and that the system actually returns.
So why does this matter to us? Well, because human history and literally your own spiritual evolution are entirely bound up inside this continuous 237 loop. Every structural lineage and every trial you go through is processed through this exact mathematical cycle. Which brings us to Section 2, the Taghūt loop. What happens when we get trapped in the matrix?
There is a stark, absolute contrast between the two main operating fields here. First, you have the Taghūt field, which is a 2 to 3 loop. This is a closed recursion. Dual confrontation enters manifestation, but just circulates endlessly inside the created system with 0 exit vector. On the flip side, you have the Suleiman or Solomon field. This is a 2 to 7 structure. Here, authority connects directly to restoration. It actually has a controlled return path.
And this mathematical cycle maps flawlessly onto the core human lineages. It starts on Earth with the 2, Ibrāhīm and Ismail's initial break from that inherited Taghūt structure. Then we move to the 3, which is the system's interior stabilization through Yaqub and Yahya plus Yusuf. After that, it anchors back into a 2, but it's not the original. It's a recomputed dual line through Ishaq and Yaqub. Finally, it reaches the 7, the ultimate boundary edge up in heaven with Adam and Iblis, where restoration or the fall is ultimately decided.
That 3 node is absolutely critical. Without this buffer, the system would just dissolve its own identity before ever reaching a resolution. Yusuf gives it horizontal integrity. He's inside the system, resisting collapse from within. Yahya, on the other hand, provides the vertical activation, grabbing hold of the book, which stabilizes the manifestation without losing the truth. Let's move to Section 3, Solomon's perfect dominion, the illusion of completion.
This authorized dominion represents total, unprecedented control over both the wave and the particle, which is symbolized in the texts by his command over the wind and the molten copper. Solomon's kingdom is the absolute most complete 2 to 7 authority structure imaginable.
Outwardly, this system operates with total laminar dominance. It's smooth, it's flawless control of the boundary layers without any of the chaos of turbulence. It looks like the ultimate, perfect 2 to 7 cosmic loop.
But this opens our mystery box, Section 4, the hidden trap. Perfect control, but incomplete restoration. The real trap of Solomon's kingdom is that it still operates through the 3 node for its governance, what the texts call mulk. So outwardly, yes, dominion is totally absolute over the winds, the jinn, everything. But inwardly, a completely silenced node remains unqueried. The result is perfect systemic control without full restoration.
Because there's a huge difference between governing a system and actually healing it. Systemic governance, mulk, is just managing variables and projecting structural power. True restoration means you are recovering lost information and breaking the false symmetries that the system uses to pretend it's whole.
Which brings us to Section 5, the buried node, the physics of information loss.
To really understand this trap, we have to isolate the node that breaks the symmetry, and that is the numerical node 81.8. This represents an irreversible information compression point inside this reality engine.
The verse associated with this node says, "And when the girl who was buried alive is asked, In this framework, this silenced, buried state isn't just a metaphor. It represents a massive data loss inside the system, a buried node of pure asymmetry that a simple paired relationship absolutely cannot fix.
See, a standard 2 is a simple pair, like a mother and a son. It preserves symmetry and assumes you can recover what was lost. But we can't do mother-son the exact same way for 81.8. It is a non-dual, irreversible asymmetry buried inside the 3. If you try to force this silenced node into a standard 2, you falsely assume recoverability through symmetry. And this right here is exactly the trap of Solomon's kingdom. By treating that buried node as a manageable pair, the system seals falsely, projecting completion while hiding a fatal, catastrophic loss.
So how do we escape this? Section 6. Activating the book and breaking the loop. The ultimate question is, how do we query this silent state and actually break the Taghūt loop? The answer definitely isn't more dominion or more governance.
The sources point to a completely different kind of activation, encoded as verse 19:12. O Yahya, take the scripture with strength. This specific activation anchors the vertical truth right into the system, flat out refusing to let that buried node remain silent. The living book acts as the true loop breaker. It solves the architect's dilemma because it directly queries that 81.8 compression point. It bypasses mere mulk, mere governance, and forces the system to actually recover the lost information, leading to total cosmic restoration.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought. Think about the structures in your own life. Are you just governing your own closed loops, settling for the illusion of perfect control like Solomon's trap? Or are you ready to activate the vertical truth, query your silenced nodes, and break the cycle? When will you activate 1912?